This is a long video. There are 3 parts. 1, the main read aloud. 2, the activity suggestion. And 3, extra animal information for the curious. I recommend taking brain breaks as you need them, at least 1 per part of the video. I do not recommend watching the 3rd part of the video straight through unless you really like animal facts. Maybe jump around to just the animals you want to know more about.
Greetings, OHE kindergartners. This week I'm going to read a book with you called What Do You Do with a Tail Like This? And here's our title page. I want you to take a look at these words with me and try and read them with me. You're going to see them a lot in the book, and anytime you see them in the book, I'll give you a warning. I want you to try and corally read them with me. That means read along with me. Let's practice once or twice here. Here's the title page, and the words in the title are the ones we'll see a lot. Here we go. What do you do with a tail like this? And the only thing that we will see change, we will see the word tail change into different body parts. So that's the one we'll stop and we'll think about that when we get to those parts. Anyways, let's read it one more time and then let's get going. Ready? What do you do with a tail like this? All right, and it's by Steve Jenkins and Robin Page. Animals use their noses, ears, tails, eyes, mouths, and feet in very different ways. See if you can guess which animal each part belongs to and how it's used. At the back of the book, you can find out more about these animals. All right, here we go. Here are the words straight from the title I want you to try with me. So get ready. Here we go. What do you do with a, and it starts with an N, and I'm looking at all these things. What do you think that word is? Nose. Nose like this. And I'm going to read it again smoothly to make sure I understand it. What do you do with a nose like this? All right. Well, it's a bill of some sort for a nose. It looks like it's reptilian. This, I bet most people know what that is. This could be quite a few different things. And oh my gosh, look at this nose. Let's find a little bit out about these noses. Up here, if you're a platypus, you use your nose to dig in the mud. Can you imagine digging in the mud with your nose? Down here, if you're a hyena, you find your next meal with your nose. Lots of things use their noses to do that. We do too sometimes. You can smell when dinner's happening. Up here, if you're an elephant, you use your nose to give yourself a bath. And yeah, I'm giggling because I'm thinking about giving myself a bath with my nose. It would not work out very well. And over here, if you're a mole, you use your nose to find your way underground. So that's a mole's nose. Last one here, if you're an alligator, let's see who got that one, most of you probably, you breathe through your nose while hiding in the water. So your nose is sticking up just enough so you can breathe and you can hide under the water. Pretty creepy. Let's keep going. All right, ready to try reading these words with me? They're the same ones that are on the title. This is the pattern that repeats. Here we go. Ready? What do you do with? And what are all these pictures of? What could this word be? I bet you recognize these here. Ears like these. Now let's read it smoothly so we understand. What do you do with ears like these? So these are all ears. These, of course, we recognize, I bet. These, I'm not sure about this. I noticed there's some fuzziness down at the base of the ears. Are they right side up? Are they upside down? This one looks like it belongs to a much bigger animal, like we could see more of the animal there. I don't know. So does this one. Wow, that looks like it's huge. And this doesn't look like an ear at all. What could that be? What kind of an ear is that? Let's find out. All right, let's see who was able to guess some of those weird ones here. This one people probably recognize as a rabbit, and it's not just any rabbit, it's a jackrabbit. It says, if you're a jackrabbit, you use your ears to keep cool. All right, I wonder how they do that. Oh, it's a bat. And so that must have been one of them with the ears that looked like they were upside down, since bats hang upside down. It says if you're a bat, you see with your ears. How does one see with their ears? Interesting. Oh, this was the one that didn't look like ears at all. It's right here. See that? If you're a cricket, you hear with ears that are on your knees. Can you imagine just popping your ears off and putting them on your knees? That's an interesting place for ears. I wonder why they have the ears there. And look at this. Two bigger animals. Looks like I was right. A huge one here and a big one here. This one. If you're a hippopotamus, you close your ears when you're underwater. I have to use my hands to do that, but a hippopotamus can't do that, so I guess they have some sort of special ears that close. And over here, if you're a humpback whale, you'll hear sounds from hundreds of miles away. Wow, those are special ears, almost like a superpower. If you want to know more about each of these kinds of ears and the other body parts you hear, don't forget it's at the back of the book. It'll tell you more, and I'll do that after I got done reading the front of the book. I'll pause, I'll show you how to do the activity, and after that I'll read all about for you how a jackrabbit uses its ears to keep cool and how a bat sees with its ears. I will read the little excerpts from that at the end of the book if you're interested. All right, ready to read with me? This is just like it was on the title again, except for one word. Here we go. What do you do with a, and it starts with a T. Oh, these look like, yep, with a tail like this. Let's try and read it smoothly. What do you do with a tail like this? Good. Ooh, that one's got something sharp right there at the end. I don't want to mess with that tail. I recognize the pattern on this tail. I think I might know what that is. This one looks like it can curve a lot and grab things. That one's green. Makes me think it's some sort of reptile or lizard or something. Oh, and I kind of recognize the pattern on this fluffy one here too. Makes me want to hold my nose. Let's see if you guessed. All right, this first one, I did recognize this pattern here. Did you recognize it? If you're a giraffe, you brush off pesky flies with your tail. Whap, 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 swinging it around. And this one, yep, I did want to hold my nose for a reason. If you're a skunk, you lift your tail to warn that a stinky spray is on the way. That's how they protect themselves. And this one, oh, it is kind of a lizard here. I was right. But look at this part right here. It looks like it's a mistake, but it's not. Here's what the words say. If you're a lizard, you break off your tail to get away. So if something grabs their tail, they just break it off and run away and grow a new one. And down here, this was the pointy one that I didn't want to mess with, that I still don't want to mess with. If you're a scorpion, your tail can give a nasty sting. And the last one here, I was right, it does curve and grab things. It says, and there's a couple of my words cut off there, but I know what it says. If you're a monkey, you hang from a tree by your tail. Why not? All right, here's the words that are patterned like the title again. You ready to give it a try with me? Let's get ready to read. Here we go. What do you do with, it starts with an E, I don't know. I happen to know this word. I'm going to help out. It's one of those weird ones that's just spelled all wacky, so it's going to be hard to figure out from the letter sound, but you might have figured it out by what you see the most of in this picture. The word is eyes, like these. Ready? Let's try and read it smoothly. What do you do with eyes like these? Good. Well, this one's a little easier to guess what they are because you can see their faces. This one looks like a chameleon to me. That's almost definitely an eagle. That's some sort of lizard that I'm less familiar with, some sort of deserty looking lizard. This thing is cute. I love its big pretty eyes. I don't know what it is though. And this, that's another weird one. Not sure I can guess that. I guess I'll have to find out from the next page. Let's find out. All right, right here, looks like it is a chameleon. If you're a chameleon, you look two ways at once. Look carefully at this chameleon's eyes. You see they're pointed in different directions. You can see two different spots at once. Can you imagine looking two different places at once? Could your brain even think about the information from your eyes? And caw! Yep, this was an eagle here. If you're an eagle, you spot tiny animals from high up in the air. They basically got super eyes. They can see way far away, even tiny little things, lots of little details. Now, I'm going to find out about these animals that I didn't know as much about. This one down here looks like a fish of some kind. If you're a four-eyed fish, you look above the water and below the water at the same time. So if you look carefully at his eyes, it looks like there's a set that sort of float above the water, and look, and he also has a set down in the water, so you can see both places. This, the weird desert-like lizard I mentioned earlier, let's see. If you're a horned lizard, you squirt blood out your eyes. Yikes! I wonder why. I guess we'll find that out more at the end, but I'm guessing it's to protect themselves if something attacks. Would you attack something that was squirting blood out its eyes? Probably not. And this last one, the cute one, it says, if you're a bush baby, you use your large eyes to see clearly at night. So I mentioned earlier they were giant and cute, and that probably has something to do with making sure they work well at night. Again, you can find out more at the end of the book there with me if you want after the activity. Let's keep going. All right, ready to read with me? Here we go. What do you do with, and it starts with an F, and yeah, these look like feet to me. They look like feet to you. Feet like these. And let's read it smooth so we can understand it. What do you do with feet like these? This one, I don't know, some sort of lizard, I guess? This one looks like a hoofed animal, like you might find in a barn or something like that, right? Not sure what it could be. Lots of different things. It could be a pig, a goat. This almost looks like a human foot, except the toes are long like fingers, and it looks like the big toe can move around like our thumb can. It's opposable. Some sort of monkey, I would think. And here, that looks like webbed feet for swimming. Well, and look at this skinny one. That probably is some sort of insect. Let's find out what they actually are. Over here, that was close. It says, if you're a chimpanzee, you feed yourself with your feet. And they do. They've got special opposable big toes, so they can use their feet like we use our hands. So they got 4 sets of hands almost. That'd be very useful. And here, with the webbed feet for swimming, and it's probably a bird that spends some time in the water. If you're a blue-footed booby, you do a dance. I wonder what the dance is for. I bet it'll tell us at the end. If you're a water strider, you walk on water. Cool. Could you imagine going out to the Puget Sound and just walking across it like a water strider? If you're a gecko, you use your sticky feet to walk on the ceiling. So with another lizard type thing, and its feet are sticky and it's hanging upside down walking on the ceiling. Cool. Oh, and here's our hoofed animal, one with the hoofs we mentioned, but it doesn't look like it's from a barnyard. If you're a mountain goat, you leap from ledge to ledge. So it's a mountain goat. And I guess its hooves help it stay balanced on the rocks. Let's keep going. Ready to read with me? All right, here we go. What do you do with a, and it starts with an M. Oh, and I can see there's faces, but what part of the face starts with an M? Mouth. Yep, with a mouth like this. Let's read it smoothly so we understand it. Here we go. What do you do with a mouth like this? Let's take a guess at some of these mouths. This mouth is so long. This mouth looks like a snake to me, but there must be something special about that snake's mouth. That's a mouth. Looks like this little thing might do some sort of sucking here. What do you know that sucks on things that might look something like this? This almost looks like a big beak of some kind, of a bird, and of course this is a fish. What's special about this fish mouth here, I wonder? Let's find out. Ah, the beak belonged to the pelican here. If you're a pelican, You use your mouth as a net to scoop up fish. Bloop. Down here, oh, this is the one with the sucker. This insect here. If you're a mosquito, you use your mouth to suck blood. Blah. It's my best vampire. Oh, and here we get to see why the snake's mouth was special here, because we could tell it was a snake, but couldn't tell why. If you're an egg-eating snake, you use your mouth to swallow eggs larger than your head. Take a minute to think about that. Imagine picking up an egg that's bigger than your head right now and fitting it in your mouth. Wow. And this here, oh, this is the long mouth, isn't it? It says, if you're an anteater, you capture termites with your long tongue. So the mouth is long, I guess, to hold a really long tongue to slip out and get those termites in the cracks in the wood. Termites are insects that live in wood, if you hadn't heard of them before there. And this last one, let's see why this fish mouth was important. We can tell it was a fish mouth. If you're an archer fish, you catch insects by shooting them down with a stream of water. So, boom, they shoot down an insect and then swim over and gobble it up. Wild. All right, let's keep going. Well, that's the end of the first part of the book. I'm going to pause. We're going to think about it. I'm going to explain an activity. And if you want to know more about each of those animal body parts, stay tuned for the end, and I will read them. First, let's think about it and think about what kind of activity, what kind of extension, what kind of drawing we could do about this thing in writing. Think about it. Imagine if you had some of the animal body parts and the special abilities that came with them that we read about in this book. If you had the nose of an elephant, would you use it to give yourself a bath like an elephant? Maybe, but that's not the only thing you could do with it. How could you use your nose, a nose that sprays water, in another way in your life? Think about it. Think about the times that you needed to spray water. If I had an elephant's nose that could spray water, I would use it too. And I made a drawing. I'm going to show you what I would do. Ready? I water the garden with my elephant nose. Well, there it is. That's my drawing in my imagination. And there I am watering my pretty flowers with my elephant nose. And I've got my bucket of water in my hand. This was at my old house. Here's my words. I water the garden with my elephant nose. So now it's your turn. You try and do a crazy picture about what you would do with one of the special skills that you get from those animal body parts. Let's talk about how I came up with this idea, though, so you can think a little more on yours. So, idea starters. So when we thought about the elephant, first we need to think of the animal and body part. So I chose the animal, elephant, and I chose its nose. Next, I wanted to think about, well, what does it do? What special skill does this nose have? It sprays water. And then I think, well, what in my life do I spray water? When could I use an elephant nose? And the things I came up with were gardening. That's the picture I chose. You could also do a picture of having an elephant nose and washing the car. An elephant nose and playing in the pool or filling up the play pool. An elephant nose and washing the dishes. Sometimes you have to spray the dishes down. An elephant nose to fill up water balloons. See where I'm going? Think about how you use that, how you would use that special skill from that body part. So you can do the elephant ones you want, or here's some more ideas from the book. Thinking about this, the animal I chose to think about here was a whale's ears. I remember from the book it said that the special skill of a whale's ears is it can hear sounds from hundreds of miles away. Take a minute. Imagine you can hear things from hundreds of miles away. You've got super ears. What would you do with them? So think about how you use listening in your life. You receive communications, you listen to other people to find out things. You listen to music. I wonder how you could use a whale's super hearing to listen to music. You figure out what something is before you can see it. Sometimes you hear a noise and you use that and your brain and you figure out, hey, what's making that noise before you can even see it? How could you use super duper whale ears that can hear hundreds of miles away with that? And sometimes you make safety decisions with your ears. You listen if you hear an alarm, or if you're approaching the street, you hear a car coming, you make sure to be extra careful. So yeah, maybe your whale's ears could keep you extra safe, your superpower whale ears. Here's some more ideas. Ready? Maybe you like the chameleon and their eyes, and the special skill of the chameleon's eyes was it can see in two different directions at once. think for a minute about seeing two different things at once. You kind of got to stretch your brain to think about this because our brain and eyes don't do it really so well. Ours aren't made to like chameleons. But think about, how do you use looking in your life then? How could you use that special skill of seeing two directions at once when you're deciding which way to go? How could you use that special skill of seeing two directions at once when you make safety decisions? With reading, with looking, we do a lot of things like reading, looking at art and TV and computers, taking in media. Could you focus on like two television screens at once? Is that even possible? Maybe, if you had a chameleon's eyes. And here's one. Be careful with this one. We also use looking in our life to see where or what others are looking at. So how could you use looking two directions, thinking about knowing where somebody else is looking? Be careful with that one. Here's another idea starter for your picture. I thought another cool body part and power that it gave were the water strider's feet, because it allows it to walk on water. And look at this picture of this person I put here, walking on water. Could you imagine walking on water? Think about all the times that you run into bodies of water that are bigger than you are, that you could walk on. Here's the times I thought about in my life. Maybe you can choose one of these to draw a picture about with you walking on the water, or you can come up with your own time. At the pool, at the lake, or the beach. Fountains, when we see beautiful fountains. Waterfalls. Puddles, when it rains. Or even the bathtub. Maybe you really don't want to get in, so you just stand on top of it. Of course, you don't have to depict something from the book. You know lots of things about lots of different animals. Like, you know, a giraffe has an extra long neck that allows it to reach high spaces. What would you do if you had a long giraffe neck and you could reach high spaces? We know a dog has an awesome sniffer. It can smell things. It has a nose that can tell all the different smells in the air and tell exactly where it's coming from. What would you do with that power? Cats have special eyes where they can see at nighttime. What would you do if you could see in the dark? So just some other ideas, and think about all the animals and the special body parts and what those body parts do that you know. Come up with your own idea for this drawing. Anyways, on to the end of the book now. This is where it tells you about all the different body parts we heard in the book in more detail, if you want to know some of the whys and how they work. So I'm just going to go ahead and read them through here. I'm going to start up here with the platypus. The platypus, a very unusual animal, lives in streams and ponds and rivers in Australia. It's a mammal, but it lays eggs. Its feet are webbed, and the males have poisonous spurs on their back legs. Platypus poison probably wouldn't kill a person, but getting spurred is very painful and can be deadly for small animals. The platypus closes its eyes underwater and uses its sensitive bill to detect the faint electrical pulses emitted by its prey. Wow, so that's why it's digging down there. It can feel the animals. Then, with its bill, it sifts through the mud for these small fishes, frogs, and insects. Platypuses are usually about 20 inches long and weigh about 5 pounds, about half the size of a chihuahua, like my puppy. All right, on to the hyena. Let's find out. And these are all the noses sections. You see they divided them into sections. Here's noses, and these are all the noses. And then comes the ears sections next. But let's keep going where we're at here. We're on the hyena. The hyena's nose. The hyena, found in Africa and parts of Asia, is usually thought of as a scavenger. Though hyenas are scavengers at times, they are also accomplished hunters, working in packs to pull down grazing animals that are much larger than themselves. Weighing up to 150 pounds, the hyena has an exceptionally keen nose and is able to detect prey at great distances, so it can sniff something it wants to eat out, an animal from a long ways away. That's its nose power. On to the elephant nose power. Here we go. The world's largest land animal, the African elephant, can stand 13 feet tall and weigh more than 14,000 pounds. One of the elephant's most unusual features is its long nose, or trunk. With its trunk, an elephant can breathe, pick things up, suck up and spray water, communicate with other elephants, bathe, and defend itself. The trunk alone may weigh 400 pounds and be more than 6 feet long. Think about a firefighter's hose there. It has two thumb-like projections on the end that allow the animal to grasp leaves, grass, and fruit that it likes to eat. The entire human body has more than 600 muscles, but there are many as 100,000 muscles in an elephant's trunk. So it's Wow, that is some detailed trunk there. Moving on to the gator. The American alligator is found in swamps and rivers in the southeastern United States. Alligators grow to be 14 feet long and weigh as much as 1,000 pounds. They eat fish, turtles, birds, and other small animals. Alligators use their noses and tails to dig gator holes, some as big as swimming pools in the swamp. These holes don't dry up in times of drought, providing other animals with a source of water. Alligators hunt by lying quietly in the water with only their eyes and their noses sticking out. If an unlucky animal gets close, the alligator uses his powerful tail to lunge forward and grab it. So it helps it stay hidden when it's wanting to jump out and snap things. Next, the next nose is, and this isn't just any nose, it just said mole earlier, this is the star-nosed mole. It has 22 fleshy fingers on the end of its nose. That's what all those little projections are. The mole spends its life underground, where eyes are useless, so it uses its nose to find its way through a maze of tunnels. The mole eats worms, snails, and insects that it locates with the help of its sensitive nose. Using both smell and touch, the star-nosed mole grows to be 7 inches in length. All right, so we're done with the noses. Now it's on to the ears section. I'm going to start with the bat here. The yellow-winged bat, like all bats, makes a constant series of clicks or chirps as it flies. Most of these sounds are pitched too high for humans to hear. We just can't hear them. They're so high-pitched. These sounds bounce off or echo off of nearby objects. By listening to the echoes, the bat can maneuver in the dark and avoid flying into obstacles, and even find and catch flying insects that it eats. The yellow-winged bat lives in Central Africa and has a wingspan of about 14 inches. Next, the field cricket. So this is the cricket. I remember its ears are on its knees. Let's find out what that's about. The field cricket's ears are on its 2 front legs. Openings in the cricket's hard outer covering lead to chambers inside each leg. By pointing its body and its ears in different directions, the cricket can tell where a sound is coming from. Field crickets, which are about 3/4 of an inch long, live throughout North America and make familiar chirping sound by rubbing the edges of their wings together. The warmer the temperature, the faster they chirp. Counting the number of chirps in 15 seconds and adding 40 gives a fairly accurate temperature reading. Wow, you can tell the temperature by how they're chirping. Next part we were thinking about was the ears of the jackrabbit. The antelope jackrabbit is actually a hare, a close relative of rabbits. It has very long ears, up to a third of its body length, and it lives in the hot desert climate of the American Southwest. Its large ears help it to stay cool by radiating excess body heat. So there we go. It lets the heat out of the ears. That cools the whole body. Interesting. The antelope jackrabbit eats grass and shrubs and can grow to about 2 feet in length. All right. On to the hippopotamus ears. Remember, they said they close when they go underwater. Let's see what that's about. The hippopotamus is easily sunburned and spends much of its time underwater. These large animals, 9 feet long and easily weighing 3,000 pounds, that's about 3 trucks or cars, live in Africa and graze at night on grass and other plants around lakes and rivers, where they spend most of their time. Hippos close their ears and noses when they go underwater, where they can stay as long as 30 minutes at a time. I mean, I guess if my ears and nose would close themselves so that my hand, I could just hang out down there. Well, provided I had big enough lungs. I don't think I have lungs as big as a hippo. Anyways, moving on. You still with me? If not, that's okay. I didn't expect everybody to make it through this part. The humpback whale. Let's find out about the humpback whale ears. The ears of the humpback whale are visible only as small openings in the whale's head. Whales need streamlined bodies that can move easily through the water, and external ears would slow them down. The humpback whale's hearing, however, is very sensitive. These whales communicate with one another by singing songs, and though we don't know exactly what the songs mean, we do know that the whales can hear each other when they're hundreds of miles apart. These large mammals can be 50 feet long or weigh a ton per foot. They are filter feeders, eating millions of tiny plankton every day. Humpback whales are found in all the world's oceans. All right, so that was the ears. Let's move on to the tails section here. Tails, starting with the skunk, a very famous tail. The striped skunk is found throughout much of North America. Like other skunks, it has the ability to spray attackers with a foul-smelling, eye-stinging liquid. Skunks are omnivores. They eat just about anything, including insects, fish, small mammals, bird eggs, fruit, and seeds. They can be longer than 2 feet and weigh as much as 14 pounds, though most are smaller. The striped skunk first warns an enemy to back off by raising its tail. If that doesn't work, it stands on its front legs, arches its back, and shoots spray over its head, so it never has to turn its back on an attacker. Interesting. I thought that they turned around. They don't. Skunk spray is effective up to 10 feet. Next up, the giraffe. Let's see about the giraffe's tail. The world's tallest animal is the giraffe. It lives in the savannas of Africa and grew up to 19 feet in height. That's about 3 times Mr. Nichols standing on top of each other. The giraffe feeds on leaves at the tops of trees that dot the grasslands, leaves that other grazing animals can't reach. It protects itself against its primary enemy, the lion, with kicks from its powerful back legs, and it uses its long tail to brush flies and other insects from its back. Pretty simple tail use there. The five-lined skink. So this lizard, the five-lined skink is its name. It has a long tail that can break off if it's attacked. The wriggling tail can distract predators, allowing the lizard to get away. This skink, which is 5 to 8 inches long, lives in the eastern part of the United States and eats insects and worms. Losing its tail doesn't really hurt the lizard. It soon grows a new one. All right, now the scorpion's tail, another very famous tail. The scorpion is an ancient relative of the spider. Scorpion fossils are older than 400 million years. Scorpion fossils older than 400 million years have been found, some of them 3 feet long. Today, scorpions grow to a maximum length of 8.5 inches. Well, isn't that lovely? They used to be this big. Now they're about this big. They live in warm climates throughout the world and eat spiders and lizards and small mammals. Hunting at night, scorpions locate their prey by touch and use the poison stinger at the end of their tail to paralyze an animal before it can get away. Last on this page, can't see it all because of my face down here, but I've got it right here to read. The spider monkey. The spider monkey can use its tail like a fifth hand. The end of its tail has a patch of bare skin, so no fur on it, with a special groove that helps it grasp things. The spider monkey, along with other monkeys living in Central and South America, is a New World monkey. New World monkeys are the only primates with grasping or prehensile tail. The spider monkey's tail is no longer than its body. Oh, wait, no. The spider monkey's tail is longer than its body, which can be as tall as 2 feet. So imagine having a tail that was longer than your own body. The spider monkey often hangs by its tail while eating fruit, leaves, and flowers. All right. We're on the last page of information here about these animals and their amazing body parts. If you're still with me, amazing. That means you're probably really interested in this subject. Chameleon. Looking at the eyes section now. The chameleon is found in Africa, Asia, and Europe. It hunts insects by night, relying on its wide-set eyes to give it good depth perception. It also has to watch out for predators and can swivel each of its eyes independently in any direction. The chameleon catches insects by quickly flicking out its sticky tongue, which is longer than its body. The tree-dwelling lizard grows up to 27 inches in length and has the unusual ability to change its skin color to match its surroundings. All in all, a really cool animal. Next up, the bald eagle, those super eyes that can see far away. The bald eagle lives throughout much of North America and is the national bird of the United States. It hunts by sight, soaring high in the air and looking for rabbits, small birds, and fish. Its eyesight is 4 to 8 times as sharp as that of a human. The bald eagle is a large bird with a wingspan of more than 7 feet. When it dives to attack its prey, it can reach speeds of faster than 150 miles an hour. That's way faster than you even go in your car. The bald eagle is not really bald. Its head is covered with white feathers. The next part in the eyes section is the horned lizard. I wanted to find out about this. Why does it squirt blood from its eyes? The horned lizard, often called a horny toad, lives in the American Southwest. It's small, 3 to 5 inches in length, and covered with sharp spikes. This lizard feeds on ants and other insects and protects itself in an unusual way. If threatened, it first tries holding very still. If that doesn't work, it puffs itself up with air to make itself look larger. If it still feels threatened, it will squirt streams of blood from the corners of its eyes. This probably confuses an attacker, giving the horned lizard time to get away. Interesting. Next up is the strange fish, the four-eyed fish. In the rivers of South America lives a fish that can look above and below the water at the same time. The four-eyed fish actually has just two eyes, but each eye is divided with separate pupils and irises and corneas. It swims along the surface of the water at the top half. So as it swims along the surface of the water, the top half of each eye can look up and watch for predators and insects to eat. The lower half, meanwhile, is looking down below to find prey or watch for danger that might come from below. The four-eyed fish is about 10 inches long. And finally on to this cute bush baby with the big eyes for the night vision. British explorers in Africa heard sounds in the night that sounded like the cries of lost children. That's how the bush baby, a relative of the lemur and monkey, got its name. The tree-dwelling mammal is only 6 to 9 inches tall and weighs less than half a pound. It sleeps during the day and hunts insects, lizards, and mice at night. The bush baby has very large, round eyes that allow it to see in dim nighttime light. The eyes don't move in their its eyes don't move in their sockets, so the bush baby is constantly turning its head from side to side. Interesting. So its eyes are stuck looking forward, I guess. It can't move its eyes around like we, so if it has to look to the side, it's got to turn its head because its eyes stay faced forward. Wow. Okay. Onward to the feet section. Chimpanzees. Chimpanzees are humans' closest animal relatives. These intelligent animals live in the forests of Africa and are typically 5 feet tall and 135 pounds. Like people, they have an opposable thumb. Unlike us, they also have an opposable big toe. This allows them to pick up and manipulate things with their feet. They eat fruit, leaves, insects, and an occasional small animal. On to the male blue-footed booby. The male, that's an interesting bird here. The male blue-footed booby uses its bright blue feet to attract a mate. Blue-footed boobies live on the tropical Pacific coasts of North and South America, where they catch fish that can make up their entire diet. They are large birds with a wingspan of about 5 feet. When a male booby wants to impress a female, he does an elaborate dance, lifting his bright blue feet one at a time. At the same time, he points his beak to the sky and spreads his wings wide and whistles. And that looks like that's what they're showing here in the picture. The next part, the water strider, using its feet to walk on water. So cool. The common water strider, found throughout the United States, lives on calm rivers and ponds. On the end of its long legs, it has tiny hairs that enable it to walk on top of the water. The water strider doesn't sink because of surface tension. That's the same effect that causes water to beat up on a wax surface like a car. The water strider, with a body less than an inch long, skates along the top of the water and eats dead insects that it finds floating there. All right. On to the gecko with its sticky feet so it can walk on the ceiling. If you spent time in the tropics, you've probably seen small lizards walking on the walls or ceilings. These noisy insect-eating reptiles are geckos. Their name probably comes from the unusual chirping sound they make. The bottom of the gecko's feet are covered with millions of tiny hairs and pads that use an electrical charge to cling to just about any surface, even a sheet of glass. Most geckos are about 7 inches long, so it seems like tiny hairs are how a lot of these animals are sticking to things that can do special things with their feet. Last but not least, in the foot section, the mountain goat. The mountain goat, found in the mountains of northwest North America, is not really a goat. It's more closely related to antelopes. The animal is at home on very steep rocky slopes where it's safe from most predators. The mountain goat has special hooves that allow it to travel where other animals can't. The hooves combine a hard outer layering used for gripping small rock ledges with a soft and non-skid pad. The mountain goat, which may be 4.5 feet tall and weighs as much as 300 pounds, can move lightly and easily over almost sheer cliff faces. Avalanches and rock slides are dangerous, however. They kill more mountain goats than predators do. Interesting. So the goat can actually walk on almost vertical faces with its special hooves. Amazing. And the last section here, props to you if you're still with me, is the mouth section, starting off with the brown pelican. The brown pelican, found along the coasts of North and South America, has a large patch of skin on the bottom part of its bill. The pelican flies 60 or 70 feet above the water looking for fish. When it spots a school, it dives into the water and opens its mouth. The pouch expands into kind of a net and can hold as much as 3 gallons of water and fish. The pelican then strains off the water and eats the fish. Brown pelicans are large birds, 4.5 to 4.5 feet long. They are large. They are big birds. They used to be where I lived. I used to see them all the time. They were huge. The mosquito mouth, the bloodsucker. The tiny mosquito is the animal that is the most dangerous to humans. That's because in some parts of the world, this insect can spread deadly diseases as it sucks blood. The mosquito has a special needle-like nose that it uses to pierce the skin of a person or animal. As it sucks blood through a hollow tube, it injects, as it sucks blood through a hollow tube, it injects chemicals into the skin that keep the blood from clotting. These chemicals are what cause the uncomfortable itching when we feel when we're bit by a mosquito. The giant anteater. The giant anteater lives in Central and South America. Most of its diet consists of termites rather than ants, so I guess it's really a termite eater. And it can eat up to 30,000 of these a day. The giant anteater can be 8 feet long. If I were to lie down, it would still be longer than me. 8 feet long and weigh 100 pounds. It has an elongated tubular mouth with no teeth and a tongue that is 2 feet long. A 2-foot-long tongue. Imagine that. If that were me. Yes, a tongue that long. 2-foot-long tongue. It uses a sticky tongue to capture insects. The egg-eating snake. The egg-eating snake has jaws that can unhinge and very elastic skin, which allow it to eat eggs that are wider than its own body. It sometimes takes the snake several hours to swallow an egg. It has no teeth, but breaks the egg with a special bone in its throat. This African snake eats as many eggs as it can during birds' breeding season. Then it goes without food for the rest of the year. It grows to about 2.5 feet in length. And finally, the archerfish down here and uses its mouth to spit a tiny water cannon to knock down insects and eat. Let's see. The archerfish hunts by looking for insects on branches hanging low over the water. It has large eyes set well forward on its head, which give it good depth perception. When it spots a butterfly, beetle, or other insect, the archerfish squirts water out of its mouth and knocks the insect into the water, where it then can be eaten. This small fish is about 10 inches long and can shoot a stream of water as far as 3 feet. Archerfish live in quiet waters from the east coast of Africa to Australia. And there you have it. That is the end of What Do You Do with a Tale Like This. If you stick around with me for all this extra information, awesome. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for reading with me. See you later.